Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on at this webinar called How to Use Blackboard Collaborate Web Conferencing to Engage Students. There's a few things I'd like to share with you. On the left, there's a chat box area. You're welcome to type in there throughout the webinar. You can ask questions or communicate with others. You'll also notice that you can click Talk at the very top left. You should see a talk and little microphone. If you have any questions, I'd recommend that you raise your hand. Down there near participants, you'll see that there's a hand raise option. I just raised mine and you'll see the little number next to it. So that will let the presenters know that you have a question, and then you can ask. There's also emoticons. To the left of the hand, you'll see there's a little smiley face, LOL, applause. There's a variety of different options on there. You see I'm applauding now. And so you're welcome to use those. There's also, if you step away for a moment, there's the step away icon you can click, and you'll see that lets everybody know that you're away. And then next to the hand on the right, you'll see that there's little check marks. This is where we're going to respond to polls. And in this webinar, we're going to respond to a few different polls. They may be yes, no questions or ABCD responses. So with that, we'll go ahead and begin with Michael.
Great, thank you, Cody. Thank you for attending, everyone. I'm Michael Wilder. I'm the Instructional Design Coordinator for the Office of Online Education. I am co-presenting today with Alice Swift. Alice, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Alice. I'm also an instructional designer here with online education, but people like Gail from the Hotel College know me as a part-time instructor over in the Hotel College as well, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Alice. As always, we'd like to communicate our learning objectives. The primary learning objective for this webinar is really to familiarize everyone with Blackboard Collaborate, and especially to provide instructors the opportunity to learn how to create their own sessions within Blackboard Learn, within their courses, and to demonstrate some of the primary features. So I will go ahead and continue. Before we go too far, we'd like to demonstrate one of the features, which is polling. And so my first question for you today is, do you have any previous experience with Blackboard Collaborate? If you would, go up to your chat window and go ahead and make a vote for either A or B. Great. I can see at this point we have 5 votes for 5 votes. Yes or no? Good, thank you. So so there's just one way that you as an instructor can engage with your students, at least through Collaborate, provide some interactivity. And we will have an additional example of that later in our session. So before we begin with actually looking into Collaborate and how to set up a session, I wanted to give some background for those that have not had any experience with Blackboard Collaborate. Essentially, the way that Blackboard defines Collaborate, it is a collaboration system. And what it really means is that it is a web conferencing system with a variety of different features. Collaborate really does bring together a number of tools that were previously provided in separate ways, such as voice authoring, whiteboard, chat, application sharing, web touring, that kind of thing. There are some new features that are coming out very soon, and some that have just recently come out. For example, the ability to access this kind of web conferencing through a mobile device. As you can see that, for example, if you look in the chat window to the left, that Juan de la Cruz is actually accessing the web conference today through an iPad, and I have actually logged in separately using my iPhone. So I'm here as the moderator and also as a participant, but we're using mobile devices, which is actually very handy. And what else is interesting is that participants using a mobile device, they can actually send messages. Juan, I don't know if you'd like to, yeah, there, Juan has given us a happy link. And they can also hear, participants using mobile devices can actually hear what's going on as well. Soon, Blackboard Collaborate will also have telephony. Telephony is the ability for participants to communicate through audio using a phone, some sort of phone device. Previously, participants could only communicate in a web conference using the web conferencing window that you're looking at right now and be granted the ability to talk. Soon, students or participants in a web conference will be able to call into a phone number using their phone, so we don't even have to rely upon a microphone being connected. They can actually call into a telephone number using a phone. While that's not in place at the moment, very soon that will be a capability provided automatically through Blackboard Collaborate. Some other information about Blackboard Collaborate is that it is currently available for faculty teaching fully online or hybrid courses. I don't believe that it is accessible. In fact, I'm positive it's not accessible to all instructors right now at UNLV. That may change, but currently it is available for faculty teaching fully online or hybrid courses, with the caveat that only the pilot courses currently have access to Blackboard Learn. So in fall 2013, when all of UNLV does in fact move to Blackboard Learn, all of the online courses and hybrid courses will have access to Collaborate. It is not directly integrated into Blackboard Vista. We can, here at the Office of Online Education, provide a session external, but right now only Blackboard Learn has the ability to integrate into the course. So at this point, I'd like to actually demonstrate how you would create a session within your Blackboard course, and for that I'm going to use the application sharing feature, and I'm currently setting that up while I'm speaking. See if it will share. Can everyone see the Web Campus pilot window right now? If you can, someone give me a indication. Alice looks like she's indicating that she can. So right now I'm in a Web Campus course in Blackboard Learn, and I'm looking at my learning modules. And you would typically put in a session somewhere where it would be easily found by students. Perhaps one method of doing this is to go in week by week and to say, okay, at the end of every week or at the beginning of every week, I'd like to conduct some session. And so I think, all right, I'll go into Module 1. It's generally Module 1 would be looked at during the first week. I'll go into Module 1 and add at the end of the list somewhere an actual session. So I'm going to go to not build content, not assessments, but go to tools. And the tools drop-down menu actually has a link to Blackboard Collaborate. Now, I've been told that there's generally about a 4-second delay between when I do something on my screen and when everyone else sees it. So please tell me to slow down if I go too fast. But here you are within the area that you would like your session to appear. Go to Tools and Blackboard Collaborate. I'm clicking that now, and everyone should be able to see the BB Collaborate list page, and there is a button at the top there for Create Session. Now I'll click that in just a moment, but before I do, down below you should be able to see a list of, if there were any other sessions, any other webinars currently scheduled, you would see a list directly below. So we'll go ahead and create one at this point. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Session. And we get a number of different options to decide before we really begin. The very first is, of course, what the title is, and by default the title is the name of the course. But perhaps you want to call it something like Module 1, the Collaborate Session. Of course, the default is that all users registered in the course can attend this session. You would pick a date for when the session would be offered, when it actually will open. And I'm going to leave this at the default for now, but you as an instructor will probably want to think thoughtfully about when do you want this to be available to students. It is, for example, right now it's set at 1:45. It is currently 1:43, and so in a couple of minutes it will actually begin if I were to just go ahead and submit this. I could actually enter into this session 15 minutes early. It's probably a good idea for instructors to get in 15 minutes early and set up. Notice that I could also, at this point, set up a whole series of these sessions. For example, if you had office hours, perhaps on every Saturday morning, you might set it up right here, so automatically, rather than to manually having to create every session. So here's a good way to create repeat sessions. We're going to recommend, and we may in fact disable this down the road, but we're going to recommend that you do not record your sessions unless absolutely necessary. The reason being that UNLV has a quota for the amount of space we can save. We have had cases where instructors will simply turn it on and let it sit for hours and hours and hours, and that really eats up our quota. So please be considerate. This may in fact be disabled permanently at a later point if there is any kind of abuse along these lines. Be also cautious about the max simultaneous talkers and the max simultaneous cameras. Currently the defaults are at 3, which is okay, but realize if you allow 30 students to have the capability of talking all at once, you may have some trouble, and you may also have bandwidth problems if you allow everyone to turn on their video camera all at once. So I would keep those two at a minimum. Perhaps you want to set them at 1 for you, the instructor. There's the capability of having it supervised, which means that you as the instructor or the moderator can view all private chat between your students. I would recommend that if you turn that on so that you can see students' private chats, you let them know in advance. We don't want to necessarily be spying on them without their permission or their notification. Certainly you don't by default want them to have moderator rights, so I would leave the all permissions turned off. You do want to, you may want them to raise their hand on entry, but that isn't necessarily mandatory. You can also set it to allow in-session invitations, so you could send an invitation to somebody that didn't get the invitation previously outside of the learning management system. We don't recommend this. Make it so that students have to log into your class to attend the session. Also, if you do record the session, it's absolutely important you want to hide the names of your students in the recording. This is a good idea. Don't leave the students' names visible, otherwise there could be potential FERPA issues. Don't let your students' names be revealed to future students. You can have the participation and collaborate be automatically added as a grade in your grade book, so in your grade center, so you can enable it there. Realize the default is 100 points, which is pretty high, so you might want to lower that to something like 5 points. You're not done. Don't click submit yet. No, no, no. Come back to the top. There are 3 other pages of these, and I will go through them very quickly. This first page is probably the most important. So click on participation. This is a list of students currently available in the course, and we would like to have all of the students be able to have access, but we don't want everyone to have moderator role. They would have the ability to, the same ability as you would. So I'm going to click on everyone's name here and add them as participants. They should be already available when you create the session. Allow unregistered guests? No. The intent is to allow guest speakers, someone from outside of the institution, outside of your class to participate. Really, we want to keep this to a minimum, and we may, in fact, disable this at a later point. We really want to keep Collaborate as a tool between instructor and students. The second to last is the sharing screen. Notice that you can preload some files, for example, videos. You can preload MP3s, audio files. You can even preload whiteboards with content on the whiteboard. So you can preload files into this session. Here's the telephony screen. Again, we don't have that capability yet, so don't bother filling anything in here. You can create notes. And lastly, you can go to the content area. Which content areas should be allowed to place these sessions into? And so you would click which ones you want. This isn't mandatory. Again, all I'm doing right now is creating one session. If I were creating many, which content area would I want to put it into? Also, I could display, even though students will only have access within the time frame that we had previously set on the first screen, we could have it display on less time, or perhaps longer than the session is available. After I considered all of these, I can click on Submit, and that should create a session. Notice that I waited too long, and 1:45 has already gone past, and so I'll have to set that for 2 o'clock at this point, and set that for 2, and we should be able to be good to go. At this point, you can probably see that across the top, this is successful, and I am now able, and our students are able to click on a link to the session. If I go back out to Learning Modules, I should be able to see now that there's a session in Module 1 available for students somewhere. Should be in here somewhere, but I'll have to go back and look for it. All right, at this point, I'm going to leave the session, leave the screen share, and go back to the whiteboard, and turn this now over to Alice for her demonstration.
Thank you, Michael. It looks like Cody might have just pushed out a couple documents or handouts for you guys. We compiled a couple job aids regarding the Blackboard Collaborate interface, as well as possibly how to set up a session. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. But you should be getting a push-out notification that says, documents being pushed out to you. Would you like to download this now? Just click yes, and then you can just save it anywhere on your computer. That way you can refer to it later if you have any questions and whatnot. So I'm going to be covering some of the general tools of the Collaborate interface. Because it's a little more difficult to do a desktop app share of the Collaborate interface, So I just ended up taking a screenshot so that you can take a look. Just so you know, this is the chat interface. You can more or less are seeing a mirror of this where you are at in terms of what you're viewing. You're viewing the interface within the interface, but this screenshot that I've taken is from the what they call the chair position, which is essentially just basically the moderator, or the in your cases they would be the instructor view. So this is your chat window that Cody was talking about. This is where your participant window is, as well as those tools, including where your polling would be. This little icon right here, so in your actual system it would be right over here. That's where your universal permissions are for participants, you don't actually see very many things listed in your universal menu. However, from the chair perspective, you'll actually have the ability to give people permission and take away permissions, such as at the moment all of you have chat function, so you can all go into the chat window. However, I could pull that function away. I can also give participants talking function, video function, the ability to do their own app sharing on their computer and share that with us, as well as that web tour, which Michael will cover later. And then also you have your talk and video function, as well as your monitor here. I believe I will go over that in just a second. First thing I wanted to go over was how to upload your files. So other than your standard office hours, you probably would be able to utilize this for lecturing purposes if you wanted to share a PowerPoint. Instead of doing a 10-minute recording with our Camtasia studio next door, you might just want to do something synchronous and say, I want everyone to attend this session so that we can brainstorm and have a little mini lecture. If you wanted to load your content, you actually go into this load content button, which you will see once you are an actual chair of the session. When you go into load content, the only thing that you can load up are PowerPoint files. So it is limited, and once you actually load your content in, it actually generates a series of PDF or JPEG style images of your slides. So one thing to note is that once you load your PowerPoint in, your links won't work. If you have videos or whatnot, they won't work. However, the slides will show up as images such as the ones that we're doing on here. Also, you can do document sharing, which Cody actually gave us a sample of. You would just be able to do that by going into your window menu link, and from there, I believe it's the, let me see, it's the show file transfer library. I won't actually show you guys how to do that, but if any of you do have questions, you can feel free to talk with your instructional designer, and I'm sure they'll be able to walk you through it. But this allows you to have the ability to share documents with all of your participants, say if it wasn't a PowerPoint file and it's something you want everyone to have the ability to download. I've tested out sharing Excel files, PowerPoint, Word, PDFs, MP3s. You can more or less share everything, and all it does is that it just spreads those documents out to all the participants, and they have the option of downloading. With that being said, I do want to jump into an app share so that I can kind of show you some of the chat audio and video functions. Actually, maybe we won't have to do that. Let's see. Cody actually talked to you about the talk and video function, which you should see grayed out in your window over here to the left. That little hand that you see is actually me using a hotspot pointer. That way I could, if I wanted to point out the talk and video buttons, the participant window, I'm able to do that. So the talk function is what I'm using right now. You also have the ability to do a video if you wanted to interact face-to-face, similar to your FaceTime or whatnot. I'm just going to do a little quick shot of me, but this is me waving. That's me. So you can actually have up to, we recommend no more than 2 or 3 participants. There's Michael saying hello too. That way they're able to, collaborate synchronously and actually be able to put a name to or face to the name. Probably no more than 2 or 3 people, because if you go above and beyond that, if you're on a Wi-Fi connection or if you have a slower connection, you'll see a lot more lag, and it will also bog down your bandwidth speed. So try to keep that to a minimum, and same thing with the talk function. In terms of the chat, let me do a quick app share and see how this goes. Give me 1 second. Could I get a some sort of emoticon, a smiley face or something if you are able to see my desktop sharing? Okay, so Elizabeth, or Beth, thank you very much. So I did want to, my whiteboard has disappeared, but I wanted to just kind of go over the chat function really quick to show you that this chat window is, the one that you're seeing right now is actually a public window. However, if I wanted to chat with only the moderators as people who are chairs, such as the instructors as well as, I don't know, guest speakers or whatnot. There's actually a separate window. So I'm going to jump into a different tab called the Moderators tab. So I'm able to go in and say, send a chat to Cody, and, you know, just like Cody actually sent one to us. So you're able to communicate with just your moderators. In addition, if you wanted to, you could also right-click on any one of the participants and send them a private chat. So say let me send Michael a private chat. So I could send a private chat and it'll open up a new separate private window. So it's great that you can send a private chat to individual people in case you need to, you know, bring someone back into the conversation or something that is private between two people. Last but not least, the really good thing about this participant chat window is the fact that you can, if you have a large class of participants, you can actually send people into breakout groups. So if I wanted to, I will actually not do that at the moment, but if you right-click on any of the participants, you can do a send to breakout room, and you can make a private breakout room, maybe groups of 5 people in one breakout room, so that they can discuss some sort of group project or topic or whatnot. The moderator is able to jump into each of the breakout rooms, and then once it's all done, can bring everybody back into that main room. This becomes important during the settings when you want to make sure that the moderator has access to private messages, just so that you can make sure students aren't, utilizing chat negatively or whatnot. So you are able to moderate all the conversations that are going on. Let's see, I've gone over the audio as well as video. The next one will be the polling option. Let me go back into, let me show you the polling option really quick first. In the global permissions, like I said, in the moderator view, you have the ability to give permissions as well as take permissions away. And the polling type, you are able to do more than just the yes/no options. You can do A through C, A through D, A through E. So you can do polling and even sort of like a check to make sure that, you know, sort of a quiz question, a live quiz question to make sure everyone is staying aligned, similar to your e-clickers in class. Once you are done polling the entire class, you can lock your responses down afterwards to make sure that no one else is entering additional responses. And then you can make your responses visible like you all saw earlier, where you could see everybody else's answers. But the good thing that you can do is publish your responses to the whiteboard. So I'll actually show a sample of that. But this allows you the ability to be able to see, oh, how many people got the answer A, how many people got the answer B, etc. So let me go back into the whiteboard, and I can show you a sample of my polling. So the question that we have here is, what webinar presentation service have you participated in before today's session? So I just found the top 3 that people use: Blackboard Collaborate, Adobe Connect, GoToWebinar, Other, or E, I've never participated in a webinar before this one. So if I can get you all to answer your polling question and just select A, B, C, or D. Once I get a few people in, I can go ahead and lock the answers down. I will answer as well. Okay, so it looks like I've got just about everyone. So in my global permissions, all I would have to do is publish responses to whiteboard. Let me lock the responses down. And let's see if it'll work. Oops. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not showing up. Looks like there are some sort of issue where I cannot actually see the published results. Oh, there they are. Okay, so you have A, 37% people said A, 25% of the people voted B. So then from there you can kind of have your discussion about it as to, you know, why they chose A, B, or C, etc. So it's a great thing about having this tool in Blackboard Collaborate. The only other thing, and the main one that I wanted to also add was the various tool options here. You may not see it as a student, but right here along this bar next to your participant window, you have certain tools that you have, such as my little pointer here. I can actually change that to various types of symbols, so I can do a happy face or whatnot. This will allow all the participants to be able to collaborate together on a slide or whatnot. So I'm going to go back into a public page, a blank page, and there's also a clipboard or clip art option, which has a map option. So I wanted to kind of get everyone collaborating on here. So I'm going to actually give everybody whiteboard permissions. So you should be able to see the pointing or the various tools. So if everyone wants to either take a writing tool or the smiley face tool or whatnot, if you want to try and pinpoint, you know, where you are from or what your ethnicity is. So for me, I would be actually right over here. You're able to play with this and have everybody collaborate. And, oops, I see a check mark. You can also draw pen strokes, so I'm going to actually just circle where I'm from, which is Taiwan here. So that's me here. So it's kind of great that you can get all of the participants to come together and be able to work on something collaboratively, which is great, especially when you go into breakout groups and, you know, maybe you have a group project or something in an online course that you want people to have some connection to their group members. Other than that, I think that is everything that I'm going over. So let me jump back into the slides again, and then Michael can continue. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Alice. That's great. All right, at this point, I just wanted to very quickly demonstrate a couple of the different tools that you also have at your disposal in Blackboard Collaborate. The first one being how to share your desktop applications with students. You may find that you need to actually share, you may need to demonstrate software with your students, SPSS for example, or Microsoft Excel, or there's some kind of specialized computer application that students are having trouble with. Well, and this is a nice way to actually demonstrate it to them so that they can actually watch you as you do it. Now, while you can't see it, the screen that Alice shared a moment ago at the very top, there is a button that that you can click at the very top. I'm going to try to use my click here at the very top that allows you to actually begin web sharing, application sharing at the very top. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and what it will do first is ask me which application do I want to share, and it's currently sharing Alice's. I'm not sure how we can get out of that. Stop that. Let's see. And then we'll try again here. There we go. Now I'm actually able to look at a list of different applications I'm sharing, and I should be sharing Microsoft Excel. Can everybody see that? Can anybody give me some response in terms of whether or not they can see Microsoft Excel? Okay, thank you, Rex. So I can actually now begin demonstrating. I can type numbers into the columns, and everyone should be able to see that what's going on. So if you have an application that you need to demonstrate for students or a process in an application, then this is a very quick way to be able to show them. And again, if you could even record these if it wasn't very long, so that future students could watch this. There's also, while you can't see it, there's also the ability to take a screenshot of this right now, so for sharing with students. So that's application sharing, and anything that you can see pretty much that's on screen, on computer screen, you can actually work through with students through application sharing. All right, at this point I'm moving back to the desktop, and the next feature is the ability to share to go on a web tour Now you might wonder, what is the difference between application sharing and web touring? Application sharing, you basically demonstrate something to students that is an application, whereas a web tour, you open a browser and you should be able to actually kind of draw students along. So you can visit from one website to another, one web page to another, basically landing at an initial destination and then clicking on links to move from one to the other. So again, that's at the very top of the screen when you're a moderator, that you'll see this button available, and that is your web tour button. So I'll go ahead and click on that now, and the very first thing that it asks me to do is to enter a URL and to have as the starting point. So what I put in right now is the Office of Online Education's website, and it looks like it's taking a while for it to load, at least on my end. It's I'm going to online.unlv.edu. Anybody else able to see this at this point? For me, it seems to be going nowhere. Anyone? No? All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop this and see if perhaps I can there we go. Great. Is anybody else able to see it? I see it now. I see Juan is unable to see it on the tablet. I don't see it on an iPhone either. Everyone else, Alice, thank you. It looks like it's visible. Great. Okay, so at this point, I can make students follow along with me as I begin to click on different links. And as we just saw, that it takes a little while for everyone to follow along. I just clicked on the resources link in the top right-hand corner of the Office of Online Education's website, and it brings up the calendar. I hope everyone else can see that. And if I come over to the left and make another click, I should be able to actually continue to other locations and just basically drag everyone along with me. Thank you, Cody. So as I click on different destinations, really the students are touring the web with me. So there's a demonstration of web touring. Again, realize that you may be limited by bandwidth, by the students' computers, by your computer, things like that. So I'm now coming back to the whiteboard and moving forward. Lastly, I wanted to share the link for our page for Collaborate resources, and everyone is welcome. I'm going to go ahead and type it into the chat window so that you can take a look for yourself. Also, Cody is pushing out a moderator quick reference guide. If you want to go ahead and save that to your computer. This will give you some tips on creating webinars. And let's see if I can finish typing. Oh, thank you, Cody. So there should now in the chat window in the lower left be a link to the resources page, which will open up in a different browser window. And you can again take a look at a lot of the different guides, video demonstrations, and the overview documents that are available for you to take a look at. All right. At this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into your chat window or raise your hand if you'd like to have your microphone turned on, and we will answer any questions. And if there are no questions, Gail, let's see, is this a way I could have students present in an online class? Again, you're the moderator, so to a degree, you will really have most of the authority of being able to conduct these presentations. You could turn on moderator access for all of your students, but often that's kind of a formula for chaos. You could perhaps grant that on a person-by-person basis. What you might be able to do, however, is have all of your students send you their presentation or a link to their presentation, and you be able to kind of guide the tour itself to these presentations and turn on a microphone for students so they can speak, or allow, when telephony actually comes, allow students to present over a telephone. I think it's a good way to, a good use of this technology. There's all kinds of different ways you can use this technology we haven't even thought of. As far as providing moderator access to the students, that's actually done in the setup, and you can set that up at the very top. So we can provide more information about providing moderator access to students at a later point. Again, you probably only want to do that on a person-by-person basis. Any other questions? Is there a way to see if someone has stopped looking at the Collaborate session but not closed it? I don't believe so. We have this happen all the time. No, not really. Not really. Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if any of the other instructional designers know of any way, but no. Whether or not they're actually participating, we can't check that. Good question, though. Any other questions? Alice, I'll go ahead and stop talking. Alice, you go ahead.
Hey, Beth, that's a really good question, but to be able to help make sure that students are paying attention to the webinar, having things like the polling questions that we had gone through a couple of those, but having sort of the checks for understanding and maybe a review question during a presentation or something would be a good idea. I guess Gail actually is answering that same question, but being able to do that will help keep the students aligned. That way they'll be able to participate more frequently. And maybe even if you were to say, ask them a question and have them type it in the chat function, or throw up a symbol every time, you know, how we've been doing, give me approval, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. That'll help keep students aligned.
Any other questions? Thank you, everyone. At this point, if you would please go ahead and give us some feedback. We appreciate your feedback on this session. It helps us improve and helps us know what we did right and what we can improve upon. So thank you very much. If you'll go ahead and click on that at this point, it says that Alice has added the link into the chat window down below. If you click on that and provide us some feedback, we'd appreciate it. As always, if you have any questions, if you would go ahead, feel free to email us individually, call us individually, or send a message to the Office of Online Education. This session should be available to re-listen to immediately, fairly immediately, if you will check out of the session as we're about to show you. And we will be actually archiving the session to YouTube and then adding to the online education website probably in the next few weeks, so that won't be very long. But if you've participated today, you will actually get the direct archive within Blackboard Collaborate within a day or so, if not sooner. All right, thank you very much. And again, at this point, if you will leave the session, this is the important part. This is how you'll get a notification that the session